Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Million Dollar Media. I'm your host Max Kellerhall. I'm just going to be doing a solo review today for a film that I wanted to check out because I was curious to see what it was about. And that movie is Megalopolis, the newest film by Francis Ford Coppola. This has been a movie 40 years in the making, made by one of the greatest film directors for all of movies I have yet to have seen. I know. I've never seen The Godfather. I've never seen The Godfather Part 2, nor Part 3. I haven't seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I also haven't seen Apocalypse Now. So, this is my first ever Ford Coppola film. And for a 2.5 hour sci-fi Roman epic, I cannot recall or tell you much about it, or really remember it that much, even after seeing it less than 12 hours ago. This film just kind of gave me a headache by the end of it, like to the point where I just kind of had to like rest and just be like, I gotta like really think about what I'm gonna say here. I don't know if I hate it. I don't know if I just think it's okay. Do I think it's good? Do I think it's bad? It's the most film to ever film. It's a very art house, avant-garde film that's very visual and surreal, and in my opinion, in all the bad ways, where there's no real character to it. So basically what the film is about, from what I can tell you, as just a normal film lover and just an average person. I'm not I don't have PhDs. I'm not the smartest person in the world. So if you just want to just completely negate anything I say, by all means, this is just my opinion on the film. Go see it if you want. But for me, what I can tell you what the film is about basically Adam Driver's Caesar Catalina. He wants to create the city of the future in basically what is this alternate New York City called New Rome. And it's this big, epic, Roman-style, modern-day New York City where it's like sometimes there's Roman architecture and statues, and sometimes it's just streets and cars and iPhones. It's really weird. Like, I'll get into that in a bit, but like, he wants to build the city of the future. He has these time stop powers that, like, they're a thing in the film, but like they don't really do anything interesting with it as to just like, hey, I need a break from reality. And that's it. Like, that's kind of all they really do with those time stop powers. And along the way, he has to go through all of his political rivals, including the mayor of the city, his cousins, who all vie for like this big sum of money, and also his mistress, played by Aubrey Plaza, who's also trying to get a big sum of money. That's pretty much all I could say, is just him constantly going towards this better future. And my big problem with the film is that it's trying to say, like, oh, we want to be progressive and build our way towards a better tomorrow, and like build the city that everybody can dream about. And it's saying all these nice promises. But like all good politicians, it's all good promises, but no real meat to back it up with. Like, from what this film can tell you, the best possible future that we can build ourselves with is by making buildings out of something that looks like a screensaver. Like, this stuff that they call Megalon. They don't explain how it's made. They just throw this magic material into this movie, and apparently it can do literally anything. It could be used as concrete. It could be used as biomaterial at one point in the film. I'm not going to say what happens, but basically you could just rebuild a human face with this shit, and it just turns out perfectly natural, like nothing ever happened. It's just this magic movie material, kind of like Avatar's Unobtainium, but at least in Unobtainium, they never go into what it does. In this film, they're like, oh yeah, this magical movie material could just somehow make these dreamlike things and show you past, present, and future. It can make buildings move and such. I'm just like, what the actual hell is going on? It is a bizarre movie, at the very least. But like, when it comes to like, oh yeah, we could make this future out of this magic material, it's just like, okay, that's not really saying anything other than like, there's no possible good for the future in our world because we don't have that. So it's saying all these really nice promises, but not really backing it up with anything of use other than just like, hey, creatives and visionaries always get pushed down by like these politicians and stuff. But when a film is trying to be very political in its messages, and don't tell me that it's not, because there's literal moments in the film where they show Confederate flags and Make America Great Again kind of posters and stuff like that. And basically making Shia LaBeouf in this film Trump to a degree. But not really, because there's one moment where he actually says that all these immigrants are people and can vote. Which, if you were to compare that to the real Trump, he would never say that. I guess the film is trying to say that, like, they're just using the hate that this guy is creating to manipulate the people, and it's going to bite him in the ass. But it's just like, what is he trying to say with that? Because all of a sudden in this film, it has very obligatory and obvious metaphors for political problems we have right now with, like, literal Nazis in the street. There's literally a point where, like, Shia LaBeouf's right-hand man steps on a tree trunk that is carved in the shape of a swastika, and it's all left to your interpretation. So I'm guessing, like, okay, I guess that's just to say that, like, this guy just surrounds himself with Nazis. So I'm like, okay. And there's a point in this film where they literally show footage from Triumph of the Wills, and so you're like, okay, I guess this world also had World War II to deal with. And they also talk about, oh, we're just going to head down to Atlantic City. And I'm like, okay, I guess Atlantic City is in this as well. It's just very bizarre world building. Like, any good sci-fi is always trying to, like, equate real world problems and tell them in a very hyper-real fashion. And I feel like this film has the same problem as Civil War did, where it's saying all these really big, important things and showing how big and boisterous America can be and how good it can be, and also all the bad shit that happens and all the capitalistic problems that we have in our society, but without actually going into that. So by the end of it, you're just like, I just watched an entire movie about a guy who wanted to make buildings. I know that is not the intention of this film, but when I got out of the theater, I was the only one in my screening. No one was there with me. Don't you tell me that I don't support films. I will go out and see a film, pay money. I paid money to see this. And by the end of it, I did not get much out of it. Like, one of the bigger problems with the film also is that the script and the dialogue is not good. It's very showy. It makes no sense. It's like your grandpa's definition of what horny is. There's literally a line in this film where Aubrey Plaza says, like, you're so anal and I'm so oral. And credit to the film, that does turn off Adam Driver's character. He's like, I'm not interested anymore. But, like, there's other lines just like it, and very bizarre line delivery.
You think 1 year of medical school entitles you to plow through the riches of my Emersonian mind?
Entitles me?
Yes.
Entitles me?
Yes.
Entitles me?
Yes.
You have no idea about me. You think I am nothing? Just a socialite?
No, not nothing, but I reserve my time for people who can think about science and literature and architecture and art. You find me cruel, selfish, and unfeeling? I am. I work without caring what happens to either of us. So go back to the club, bear it all, and stock the kind of people that you enjoy.
Fine. I will.
But I can't say the acting's bad, because they're doing what they can with the script that they were handed. And it's not all that well executed. And in my opinion, like, it could be fun watching these actors just kind of have fun and freeballing and just seeing what works and doing some really weird line deliveries and just having fun with the product. So there's some fun you can have with this film in like a Shyamalan sense, where sometimes the dialogue is not great, but watching these actors and how they were directed say these lines can be fun, especially with Jon Voight. And say what you will about Jon Voight, he does give a very bizarre performance in this film. And it's kind of funny to watch, because they're just like, that guy's kind of a piece of shit in real life. And it's kind of fun to see just him go fucking nuts in this film. There's a line in this film where he's just, check out this boner I have. I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck? And the way that scene ends is hilarious. But I don't know if it was meant to be, because it is just so bizarre what happens. Just what the hell was that all about? I don't want to ruin it for anybody. It's just bizarre. Within the context of this film, it is really funny that they kind of make his character someone that would oppose someone like Donald Trump, knowing what Jon Voight's like in real life. You could just tell that he was like, Francis Ford Coppola's in this film? I'm in. Then when he watches the film, like, son of a bitch, he made me a Democrat. Yeah, other than that, it's just a weird, very bizarre film that wants to say a lot. It's overambitious. It's like a baseball game where the pitcher goes to throw one of the best pitches imaginable. It's going to go right into the bat and he's going to nail a home run. But the best he can do is when he hits it, it goes all the way across in the wrong direction and ultimately becomes a foul. That's what the film is. The only thing I could say that really worked for me in the film and kind of made me like it, and I will remember it for this reason, is the relationship between Adam Driver's Caesar Catalina and Natalie Emmanuel's Julia. I think they managed to create a very cute relationship. Now, to be fair, it is a bit rushed. Like, it is an enemies to lovers situation. And depending on what you think about that trope, if it works for you, fine. If it doesn't, that's just this film. But I feel like once you're actually in the relationship, it's a very interesting and sweet relationship. And what I can say that I like that this film does is there's a moment in the film where they do the classic, like, hey, I will give you everything that you want if you just break this girl's heart. And they just straight up don't do it. Like, he's just like, no, not gonna do that. Like, everything I got right now, perfectly fine. Honestly, I could commend a film for kind of subverting a trope like that, because I always hate that trope because it makes no fucking sense. Now, they don't go about it in a way of like, hey, we're gonna sit down and talk about this. No, just something else much more important comes in and just changes these characters' lives. So they're like, not gonna do that, just gonna move on and just, I got a loving, supportive wife, and I'm gonna keep it like that. And I feel like this film is just ultimately a loving tribute to Francis Ford Coppola's late wife, Eleanor. Because even at the end of the film, they say, for my beloved Eleanor. And you can really feel like in this film that like he's giving a lot of credit and love and adoration to his late wife, in that there's moments where the main character says like, if I can make the future just 10% as beautiful as you are, then we will be great, or like then everything will be just fine. She literally helps him through addictions and him getting out of a low point in his life. Like, there's moments like that where it's just like really sweet and it feels like genuine love between like a husband and wife, and someone who's just like really missing someone that was so important to him and basically giving his giant love letter to that person. And that's how I choose to see this film. Not as this big film that wants to say, this is how the future should be. I see this film as saying, I love you and I thank you for all the bullshit that you had to put up with me in my younger years. You're the reason why I am happy. It's all depending on how you see this film. That's how I see this film. I'll say this. I think the film would have worked better as a stage play. Because the dialogue, the very dramatic, over the top, not an over the top in a bad way, but just very like pronounced acting style that everybody has, would work better for the stage than it would the screen. When it comes to the visualization of like what this futuristic city would be, you can leave that up to the interpretation of the audience member more than a visual effects department to realize your vision. And I think that would have worked a lot better, just because of just how everything's played throughout the film. There's nothing in this that was like, this needed to be filmed. So I'm like, okay, yeah, if you were to just get some Hamilton production designer in on this and just like do some really creative stage sets, I think you could have made this into a really interesting like Broadway play. But for what we got, the visual effects didn't wow me in like a, that looks good. It kind of reminded me like, that looks like a screensaver. And I guess that's what the future looks like. Okay, or whatever. Like this weird Sid Meier monstrosity, but not fully rendered. Totally up to you if you want to go see it. It's not going to be in theaters that long. I don't even know if it's going to be going to streaming. But I wanted to check it out because I do want to see more original stuff from big auteurs. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about this film. Please, if you like this review, hit that like button. If you want to see more from us, hit that subscribe button. We'll be doing the Graveyard Shift soon, so we're gonna be talking about a bunch of horror-related content. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot of other films soon, like Joker Folie à Deux, another film that talks about society. So yeah, a lot of stuff coming up. I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah.